another episode of Hunt for Peace.
Where we talk about D&D! Woo! And today we're continuing our Icewind Dale series. Last time we talked about our session 0 and character creation, and this time we're going to talk about half session and TPKs.
Not TPKs, just single player kills.
So we obviously did session 0 and character creation. Everyone kind of went back and did their own background creation. And two of my players, I felt like their characters warranted a half session. So one of them was Dalton. So we didn't introduce
Goliath Paladin. Oh yeah, I'm Dalton. This is my wife Chamberlain.
Hi.
We are
Hunt for
your
Peace.
hosts for this wondiferous Hunt for Peace episode and throughout this campaign.
Fair warning, the ADHD is ADHDing.
Yeah, it took us
10
like
minutes.
9 minutes to actually get to start this, so bear with us. We'll try and keep it a little entertaining, but stick to the point as much.
So we started with a half session before actual session. So I met with Dalton first, his Goliath Paladin Hodor.
Exactly what you'd expect it to be.
Within Icewind Dale, there are secrets. You can choose to use them or not. I chose to use them, and so the players all drew a secret out of a bag.
Mine was really cool.
Everyone actually got really cool secrets. Sometimes people are like, some of the secrets are lame, but everyone got a useful secret, and they were pretty relevant to the story. So that was fun to tie into their backstory and then also be able to do a half session. So with Hodor, his secret is, if you're a player, stop watching.
If not, you're grounded.
His secret is escaped prisoner. I was looking to see if we had drums. I don't think we have drums.
No, but I could have been the...
Okay.
Escape prisoner.
So, the escaped prisoner is actually basically Spelljammer, but in Icewind Dale. So, a character with this secret was kidnapped by Illithids and is now their prisoner. And the Illithid Nautiloid crashed in Icewind Dale. So it's kind of cool. It's basically the origin story to Baldur's Gate 3.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Except snow. No beach, lots of snow.
So much snow. And the main thing with this is, one, you were kidnapped by Illithids, but really you don't remember anything. And you can flavor it where you do remember your home life or you don't. But I talked to Dalton, we decided that Hodor actually wasn't going to remember anything but what I told him he would remember.
Very little. And then we've kind of added some pieces here and there. As the story progresses, we're kind of adding pieces. But at this point, it's very, very little from my home life or home world, and then even less from my time being a prisoner, my time being kidnapped. All I remember from the crash really was I have like foggy, like fading in and out of black, a visual of a mass in the snow, which above table, I know to be the Nautiloid, but the character not so much. And then same thing, I see a glimpse of what looked to be Illithids off in the distance, but I'm fading in and out of consciousness, don't really know what they are. I just know they were kind of big with tentacles on their face. But as Hodor would call them, string arms.
String arms, yes, that is true. So, with Hodor's background, I had a lot of fun writing it, and a lot of fun writing the flashbacks that he's going to continue to get. There is a way he can restore all of his memories.
Bonk the bard on the head.
Who?
Bonk the bard on the head.
Anya?
Seems like the right thing to do to get my memory. Bonk the bard. Like whack-a-mole, but bonk a bard. Got a hammer.
Bonk a bard.
Bonk a bard. Pat.
That is a great pop-up carnival game for Wild Beyond the Witchlight.
Yeah.
Bonkabard.
Bonkabard.
Bonkabard. Now introducing all the rave at the carnival. Bonkabard, where you could debonk a bard with a lute.
No.
Coming to a carnival near you. So, Hodor, do you want to talk about your half session?
So I kind of just went into the glimpses of what I will hopefully soon to find out be the Nautiloid and then the Illithids, which at this point in time, details are unknown to me. I am then taken in by a wonderful wizard named Kale and his family. Um, he is just kind of living in kind of a cabin just out in the middle of the blizzard that is Icewind Dale, and he's trying to kind of figure out, same as me, why my memories aren't present, how I got here. Um, and I'm just kind of helping the family. It's kind of a farm style cabin. So I'm in order to stay there and be fed, kind of helping them with just chores around the house. I'm a Goliath, so carrying stuff, chopping wood, making their human lives a little bit easier. Um, and then I kind of have a little bit of a flashback to my homeland where I'm climbing an inverted mountain. I'm climbing up, but the mountain is kind of inverted. In the process, I am struck by lightning, and then the lightning-esque tribal tattoos all along my body start to appear. And now, granted, this is when I'm a young Hodor, um, and I kind of get a glimpse like that. I get the glimpse of the Nautiloid and the Illithids, and I'm kind of talking Kale through some of these small memory glimpses that I'm getting. And then he actually sends me to one of the 10 towns in search of another wizard who he knows to be stronger, might be able to help dive a little bit deeper in, because we got kind of stonewalled with what he was capable of really kind of digging out of me and helping me to make sense of. So that was actually what I was doing when I ran into the rest of the party session one, was just kind of in a tavern looking for this wizard. And then that was kind of where we wrapped up mine, and then just kind of rolled into session one with where my mini session had kind of picked up.
Hodor's half session went great. I'm going to have a lot of fun slowly feeding you a flashback throughout this
Mm-hmm.
until you find a way to get your memories completely restored.
I think I just figured it out.
Did you?
Maybe.
What?
Do I need to get struck by lightning?
No.
Damn, I thought I had it. Thought I had it.
No, but you finding lightning in the middle of a blizzard would be kind of fun.
I mean, it's still a storm.
It's a blizzard. It's not thunder snow.
But it's still a storm. There's still thunder and lightning. It's still a storm.
If you live where it blizzards, let me know if it lightnings during your blizzard. We live in Texas, so do not Google it. It's not.
It is. I'll Google it off camera and I'll let y'all know.
And so then we did Dexius's half session, which Dexius is Dalton's brother in real life. His first time playing, and this was actually his first time ever playing, was his half session. And when I sat down to write the half session, the main motivation behind it was one, to give him a little intro into D&D, but he also is a warlock, so I wanted him to have strong ties to his patron and how he got his patron. So he gave me free reign to kind of write the character how I would have if he was mine, and I won't say his patron as, but he didn't pick his patron because he didn't realize warlocks really had patrons, but he knew they had to draw their power from somewhere. So I explained that to him. However,
I still don't think he fully understands it though.
I don't think so either. So his half session, I was thinking, I was like, usually people have to be down really bad to have to make a deal with a patron. sometimes yes, sometimes no. But because of his alignment and what he wanted to play, he had to go a little bit darker. He's not going evil alignment or anything like that, just because it doesn't make sense for the party. But he wanted like kind of a darker build. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to traumatize him just a little bit, as every good DM does. And so for his half session, he started with his mentor, a trapper. They were bringing back their trappings for the day, and they realized a frost giant was tearing apart the village. So, have you heard this part?
No, I have not.
So, they run, and at this point, I think Dexius is 15 or 16, and so they run as they see the roof of his home getting ripped off by this frost giant, and his little brother getting picked up and taken by this frost giant, along with a handful of other citizens. Um, his parents were smashed in the rubble, and he chose to go after his little brother. He runs into a fisher who just happened to be like, "Yeah, that's I did see the frost giant. Not really my business. What am I gonna do about it?" Kind of thing. If you're not familiar with Icewind Dale, most characters are pretty down on their luck. Don't really care about other people, things like that. So Dustin rolled really good in his persuasion to convince this fisherman to go with him to save his little brother. So him and this fisherman, which I'm pretty sure I just named on the spot. Its name's probably Bob or something. I'm looking at my notes to see if I remember his name.
My name's Jeff.
Uh, yeah, we're just gonna call him Bob. So him and Bob run into the cave. They make it to through the cave. They stealth their way through, make it past, the clan of giants, whatever, into this opening. Um, and then they go into the like a room. The doors open. There's a cage with all the civilians inside, including his little brother Torv, which Torv's probably like 9 or 10. And they go up, and of course the cage is locked. They can't get it unlocked. And at this point, they're still stealthing because it's very obvious this giant is about to cook them. There's a cauldron in the middle of the room. He's prepping vegetables and other things. Um, and can't get the door unlocked. Well, then he and Bob formulate a plan to try and use their whatever they had in their bag, rope and things to trapper tools to try and trip this giant into the cauldron. So they roll really high on their stealth check and their survival checks to set this all up. And unfortunately, the giant rolled higher and did not trip and fall into the cauldron. So it ended with basically the giant getting mad, starting to rip apart the room, grab the civilians. Dexius makes the decision to try and fight back. But at this point, he's basically an NPC. He has very little health, he has no spells, and he ends up getting thrown against the wall. And then, while he's against the wall, his patron comes to him, interested in his potential, maybe. Maybe just seeing a desperate soul that wants nothing more than to save their little brother from being frost giant stew. And the patron offers him a deal, a lifetime of servitude to the patron's cause in exchange for him and Torv's safety. Dustin takes the deal. By Dustin, I mean Dexius. They're the same.
Same.
um, and when he wakes up, he's able to save Torv and a few other civilians. They're able to sneak out somehow through all the commotion. Again, I let the dice tell the story, and he had beginner's luck. So, what was starting to be a tragic story of how he lost his whole family, he was able to save his little brother. He then spent the next 8 years raising his little brother And then now he's moved on to his own life now that his little brother is an adult. And that is where we ended his half session.
Are we gonna get a tour of appearance at some point?
You might. It is Icewind Dale. You never know what's going to happen to your loved ones.
Hodor doesn't have any of those. Yeah.
What about your party?
That I can remember.
What about Dexius?
That's why I said yet.
Okay.
We're still growing. We're still bonding.
So, one thing I did forget to mention was that when he got back to the village and kind of calmed down, adrenaline rush, whatever, he realized he had a new tattoo, in the shape of smoky tentacles up his right arm, marking his patron.
String.
And Hodor has called him String Arm.
I didn't call him String Arm. I called the tattoo String.
And then that leads us to our first session.
Oh.
So, like Dalton mentioned, so Hodor was just kind of hanging out in a tavern. And I think it would almost be sacrilege to not start a D&D campaign in a tavern. So obviously, I chose Bryn Shander because it's kind of the most central town to start in, and it made the most sense with everyone's backstories. So we had Hodor and Bryn Shander looking for this Elder Gear. And if anybody's ever played in any games with me ever, Elder Gear is canon throughout. He's just my all-knowing, all-wise wizard. So he was trying to locate Elder Gear to help restore his memories. So he's waiting in the tavern.
I thought it was a fish. There was a singing fish on the wall of the tavern that she made like a very weird point to say was there and to talk about it, what it was doing. And I was like, that's my wizard. And it was not my wizard. It was just a fish.
Okay, so for those of you that do not know, there is in the Northlook Tavern the most adorable little thing. He's a knucklehead trout. He's on the wall, like one of those Bass Pro Shop fish. His name is Olbitey.
There you go.
There. His name is Olbitey, and he comes equipped with a song that he sings. Very occasionally, very random. It's not like on the hour, every 30 minutes. It's just like kind of whenever this animated fish feels like singing it. There's a place I like to go, further up the river's flow. Where it is, I do not know. Must be under all that snow.
And she said that, and I was like, that's my wizard.
And it wasn't while he was just sitting there by himself. This was like in the middle of like the whole party meeting up.
Well, I still thought it was my wizard.
So we had in the Northlook Inn, Hodor. We had our bard Anya performing. She's a resident there. She performs almost every night. She's a high elf, bard, lute specialty. I think that's all you need to know about her for now. And then in walks in Sid, a wood elf. She's going to be a druid. And
She's a pirate.
she's dressed in not the garb you would normally see. She comes in, freezing cold.
Peg leg, parrot on the shoulder,
She,
eye patch.
you're being dramatic. She has none of those things.
None of those things.
Just dressed very much like a pirate. That she basically got lost in a storm, and then her ship froze. She was rescued by some fishermen. However, her ship's frozen, so she's stuck in town until they can get her ship unfrozen. So she goes out to the bar, and then last comes in Dexius, our Dragonborn Warlock, with his friend Kara, who's actually his mentor. So after the Frost Giant thing happened, Kara happened to move to Bryn Shander, and so he was in town just visiting her, kind of catching up, and they decided to come to Northlook for a drink. Now, Hodor, can you please tell me what you did upon seeing Mr. Dexius walk into the bar?
So Dexius, familiar with kind of the territory, notices that a pirate is very out of place. So he walks up to the bar to talk to Sid, and me sitting in the corner waiting to find my magical little wizard, see the pirate walk in. I'm like, yeah, that's weird. And then see the Dragonborn walk in, less weird. But then he goes up to the bar to talk to Sid, and I see this string arm or tentacle on his arm. And me having the brief memory of string armed people being one of the only things at all that I remember, I'm like, I've got questions. So I make my way up to the bar. And so with the Hodor character, I'm going very close to home with not very literate, not very conversationally intelligible. Um, so I speak very short, very to the point, not very many adjectives in the manner in which I speak. So it's something to the extent of I just walk up to this Dragonborn that I've never met in my life, and I'm essentially like, "Why string arm on arm?" And he turns to me, and I'm like, "Why string arm on arm?" And he's just like, "What are you talking about?"
It's not just him. The entire party is like, what is
Well,
happening right now?
other than her, none of them had really heard me speak at that point.
Also, what is string arm? They're tentacles.
I am conversationally challenged. I have no memory. I don't know that it's called a tentacle. It's just a flappy little skinny arm, string arm. And so that's what I decided to call it. That's what I rolled with. And I just went straight into the conversation, not aggressively, but very firm in the point of being confused as to why a Dragonborn would have that on his arm, also not really understanding or having any knowledge of him being a warlock, warlocks kind of having their particular marks and things like that. So I'm very curious about it. Him also not knowing where it came from or the true meaning behind it doesn't really understand it either. So when I start questioning it, he immediately thinks that I know something about it. So now he's aggressively spinning back and like, why are you asking? What do you know? And I'm just like, need know why. And so that was our first interaction. Um,
And they're getting very aggressive with each other. I'm like, are they about to fight right
just
now?
very for me, I'm again a Goliath Paladin.
Dexius is like, what did you just call me?
I'm very like just to the point, direct, and he's very like he's a black dragonborn warlock. He's gonna fight any and everything. And if you know my brother, that's also he's gonna take that chance to really dive in and embrace that personality of shoot first, ask questions later. So it was very it ended up getting more heated than I anticipated it being. But no violence, no anything like that. We kind of end up getting broken up. I believe kind of the bard steps in, the pirate's just like, what is happening? Um, but I think the main interruption is when three bloody dwarves come busting in through the door, all covered in blood. Whee! Just how dwarves do at the beginning of of every single campaign ever. Something bigger than me took my friend. Help us, please. Not
Okay,
knocking her, just
I
knocking
would like to point
every
out
campaign
dwarves are
ever.
very capable, very strong, and they do the jobs where big things happen to be there, okay? No hate on dwarves in my watch.
So these dwarves were transporting a bunch of iron ingots. They were attacked by a yeti, took their friend. They come looking for someone to assist them in retrieving the ingots and then taking them to the smith, all that. So all of us kind of individually for our own reasons are like, yeah, I'm down to help. So we all kind of end up making the party. Um, and then decide rather than wait the night and possibly lose track of where they were, general vicinity, anything like that. Well, like, let's just go now. So it's like 7, 8 p.m. in the middle of a blizzard. It's dark. But no need to worry. We have a bard who's lived here their whole life and grew up here that's going to lead the way and navigate us. Because nothing could go wrong with that, right? Right? Right?
Yeah.
Something went wrong with that. So we're
I would like to
trekking
point
through the
out that
wilderness.
travel in Icewind Dale is almost more deadly than the actual monsters. And it's a new concept for D&D players. Obviously new ones have no idea. But seasoned ones, most campaigns are just like, okay, here's a random encounter table. Cool, you make it. The weather can't kill you in most campaigns.
This one it can. So we're venturing through, and kind of simultaneously, she asks for a couple of rolls. And Dexius rolls absolutely atrociously. And Anya rolls absolutely atrociously. Anya being the bard who's leading the party, and Dexius is just kind of locked in the middle. Again, Anya being the bard leading the way, Dexius is just kind of in the middle of the pack. And all of a sudden, poof, Dexius is gone, gets lost in the snow. But me, being the battle genius paladin, contrary to my conversational lacking of intelligence, came ready at level 1 with thaumaturgy. So I hit booming voice. I'm hollering. He hears me, and he starts making his way back. And then we realize she Anya rolled a 1 on
So
her survival check, and we're lost. Completely don't know where we're at.
yeah.
Um,
So basically the blizzard was like I rolled for it. It was like 3 hours. So they walked through like 2 hours of it, kind of in circles, realized they were lost, and they just kind of like waited it out. So at this point, it's like pretty dark when they finally get unlost and continue on the way. They're able to reunite with Dexius, who would have frozen to death if not for his secret.
if not for me and my booming voice.
And what happened next?
Then we tripped over the little dwarf's head. I believe it was Sid. She was walking second and just trips over this lump in the snow. And we unbury it, and it's the other dwarf's severed head. No idea where his body went, just found his head.
Rest in peace, Ubak.
So, me being the, again, wonderful paladin that I am, take the head and put it in my backpack so that I can give it back to his friends. Um, and about that time, we catch off in the distance a group of goblins stealing the sled full of ingots. So we kind of communicate, decide let's go a stealthy approach at first. So we all kind of get a distance attack before we jump into initiative. And there's like 6 goblins around the ingot. And then as we get closer, deeper into the snow, we see a big wagon with a torch on top, a couple more goblins in there being pulled by a couple little innocent polar bears. So obviously the first thing we start saying is we're going to save the polar bear, obviously.
Was that the
So
first thing? I thought the first thing you said was, I'm going to run in the middle of 5 goblins.
no, the first thing I said was I'm a paladin with an 18 armor class. And we have a warlock with a 13 armor class, a druid with like a 13 armor class, and a bard with also like a 13 armor class. And we're level 1. Druid ain't got no spells. The Warlock has Eldritch Blast and nothing else. The Bard has Vicious Mockery. So me, being the team player that I am, is like, okay, I'll go to the goblins, so they kind of center around me. They do what they can from a distance. I'll whack them with my hammer, and my 18 arm class is going to protect me, right? Right? Right?
Not with my dice.
Not with her dice. Because I'm just getting sliced up by a bunch of little bitch goblins.
So they're level 1.
Level 1. Like 13 hit points.
Actually, let me see. You started with 11 hit points.
Even worse.
18 armor class, 11 hit points. And yeah, unfortunately, there was no way for them not to hit you. You were right there.
I wanted them to come at me. They just weren't supposed to hit me. My 18 armor class was supposed to protect me, which it did not. And so it also doesn't help that I'm slashing up goblins. Dexius is behind me,
Missing.
blasting some goblins.
What?
Shoots like 5 Eldritch Blasts. I think he hits one of them. The rest of me just finger blasting into the snow. And then we see the wagon with the polar bears. So Anya and Sid flank off to the side to stop the wagon because it starts to move. So they're shooting distant stuff, shooting the wheels off the wagon. And I'm just getting sliced up. And then she killed me. I'm trying to save innocent polar bears, putting myself in danger to save my friends so they don't have to get hit at all. And she kills me.
So, let me see.
Rude lady. She's mean. Like, actually killed me. Let's keep going. So I get down.
Okay,
They end up killing the goblins. I'm rolling some death saves.
Okay, hang on. In the middle of all of this, at least 2 of the goblins got away. So
They were the 2 fat ones on the cart we didn't care about.
And then, yeah, nobody else really took much damage because they, stood back and did ranged spells.
They're welcome.
They didn't run in the middle of 5 goblins.
But anyways, first death save, and we're all watching, we're all into it. Boom, 14. We're hyped. Everybody's hyped except her because she's mean. We as the party are hyped. We're psyched. Next one, boom, 9. Damn. Okay.
1 and 1.
1 and 1. Roll my second one, boom, 10 on the dot. I'm in there like swimwear. You can't tell me nothing. We're all hyped. Everybody's hyped. I'm going up. And it's under 10. So I think I'm at 2 and 2. We're all going crazy now. People are jumping off the couch. We're psyched. I'm psyching myself up. I'm ready, but I'm like, me being a big brain, I'm going to read every word in D&D Beyond about death saves to see if there's anything I can use to my advantage on this third roll. So I'm reading. What I didn't tell you just a minute ago was on the second one, I rolled a 1. Turns out that when you roll a 1 on a death save, it counts as 2. So everyone is psyched. We're getting ready. And then I just lean over her and I'm like, yeah, I'm dead already. And she's like, what? I'm like, I'm fucking dead.
He's like, yeah, I rolled a nat 1.
Like, I rolled a nat 1 and it counts as 2. I'm dead. And the party's like, no, let him roll. No. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do.
So, as Hodor slipped into the cold embrace of death, probably looked just like that.
Yeah, probably.
He did get a flashback of him climbing an inverted mountain in an unknown world that seems very familiar to him. He's struck by lightning. It's the same flashback he had earlier, but with more detail. He realizes that the lightning strike was a blessing from the gods themselves, and he was a chosen one. While this is happening, Dexius gets a flash of his own. But it's not a flashback. He's suddenly engulfed in black waves sinking further and further to the bottom, sinking further and further into a weightless wasteland. As he hits the bottom, he's engulfed with black tentacles. It's a familiar feeling.
String arms.
It's a familiar feeling for him. He hears a voice asking if he'd like to save his friend that he'd only just met and insulted him just a few hours earlier in the
Not
tavern.
insult him. I was curious and asked a question.
His patron asks only a small favor: 5 years off of the life of a loved one. He doesn't get to know who. He doesn't get to know anything other than he will take 5 years off of somebody that he loves to save this man. This Goliath that has fallen at the first battle to some puny goblin.
To save everyone else.
You don't know
I
that.
was a martyr.
Dexius agrees. He returns to reality as life flows back into Hodor.
That's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah, that was pretty much exactly how he roleplayed it. So, overall, it was a very intense first session. Everyone was pretty adrenaline hungover after that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, from there, I think we looted everything, gathered up the ingots, took the ingots to the smith.
Speed traveled basically everything.
Yeah, got paid, and then went back to the inn to eat, drink, and go to sleep.
Yep. I don't even think y'all ate dinner. I think y'all just went to sleep. It was so late the kitchen was closed.
I would have eaten something.
Hodor ate the head in his bag.
No. We did give that back to the other little dwarves.
Yeah.
And I said, sorry, I couldn't bring back the rest of them. They're like, thank you. Now we can give him a proper burial. Or whatever voice she did for dwarves. Something
Not
goofy
that
like
one.
that. It wasn't that far off.
Think my voices are goofy?
Yes.
Rude. Rude.
You're goofy. The ADHD's coming back. So then we roll into an actually fairly short session 2. We actually had to change the time for our session 2 because one of our friends, Elena, was doing live D&D in Weatherford at Theater. No.
Yeah, Weatherford Theater off the square.
Theater off the square.
So that was really fun.
Super cool, super fun. We'll bring more details on that later. But so we had moved session up. So everyone was kind of busy midday for the most part. So it ended up having to be a little bit of a short session. And then Sid ended up having to work. But we got to introduce our final player. And so then now next session, we'll finally have a full party come session 3.
Yes. So session 2 is fun. Having a player come in mid campaign, which I won't say mid because it's literally session 2, but she just missed session 1. So getting her to the tavern, it was just like something I had to write in. So it worked out really well because of her secret. Again, if you're running Icewind Dale and not using the secrets,
You're missing out because they make it so much more fun.
they do. They really do. So the dwarves, so him is our wild magic barbarian. She's a gnome. And her secret, which she did share with the party the first session, is that she's the littlest Yeti, which means she was raised by Yetis.
And she's like 3'3".
Yeah, she's exactly 3'3". And I love that because she's basically the size of like to their knees. And they raised her. And another plot twist in there that I'm trying really hard not to share. Okay.
Bum, bum, bum. I don't know what it is. Do I know what it is?
No.
Okay, I don't know what it is.
That's the hardest thing about doing this session by session and doing it with you is it's like I can't share because you're playing.
But
So
they find out when we find out. Sorry, people.
So we had, I had Pim wake up, do her morning routine, and it worked out perfectly because part of her morning routine is she wanted to people watch on her porch. So as she's people watching, the dwarves walk by the night before talking about putting together a hunting party to go after the Yetis that are terrorizing the town. And so Pim, being an honorable Yeti, grabs her stuff and is like following. She's trying to stealthily follow these dwarves and like eavesdrop on them, but
She wears a jester hat with 8 bells on it
yes.
and
So
never takes it off.
never. It's like Louise from Bob's Burgers and her bunny hat. Just it's part of her. So even her stealth check wasn't great either way. And I was like, honestly, they're so enveloped in the conversation. There's people coming and going. They don't really notice you more than the average person. So she ends up following them to the Northlook Tavern, where the dwarves are trying to enlist the help of the party yet again to help them hunt down this Yeti that killed their friend Ubak. And Pim is not having it.
So we're all sitting there eating breakfast. Um, and Pim comes up, and I don't remember what she said. Oh, she comes up and makes a deception check and actually rolls pretty good on it to convince us that the winter garb that they're wearing is actually made from Yeti. And we believed her. So we're already kind of annoyed anyways because we're not even super close with each other yet,
They haven't even finished their breakfast.
but we're really trying to bond. We just fought last night. I literally died like 6 hours ago. And there's interrupting breakfast. So we're kind of off put to him anyways. It's okay. What can you do for me? If nothing, go. I'm very much, if the Yeti hasn't hurt me or my friends, I don't really. And so she says that. And so I'm like, okay, great, cool. So I grab one by the throat and pick it up. And I'm like, are you hunt Yeti for sport?
At this point, the wheels are off the wagon. I'm just letting things happen.
She's just letting it go. The dwarf starts screaming. The dwarf starts peeing.
Again,
I hold the
wheels
dwarf
off wagon.
over the other dwarf that I didn't pick up. So when he pees, it just dribbles on the other dwarf.
Very, very mature.
It's like, answer question. Do you hunt Yeti for sport? And
Very
they're like, no, we bought this. It's not even Yeti, it's wolf. And then Pim says something else, makes another deception check. Doesn't roll as well, but rolls well enough. And I'm just like, forget about it. And so we're just rolling with it. And then finally the barkeep's like, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. Get this out of my bar right now. And so I have the Yeti. I have the dwarf by the throat, covered in his own pee, put him on the shoulders of the other little dwarf, and then they run out of the tavern, stacked on each other, dribbling in pee, all based off 100% straight deception checks. They weren't wearing Yeti, they weren't hunting Yeti for sport, none of the above. They just wanted revenge on the thing that killed their friend. But
And then Pim ended up being like, okay, come here. I have to tell you a secret. She like just met these guys, doesn't even know their names yet. She's like, I was raised by Yetis.
and it was like, huh?
But then Kate, the player of Pim, is like messaging me on Discord like, did you actually want us to hunt the Yeti? I'm like, no, I just needed you to the bar, girl. Oh, I'm not that evil. Could you imagine if I'm like, all right, Pim, your first session, you're hunting your uncle.
So anyways, at that point, Pim joins us. We're finishing breakfast. And there's some nicely dressed lady at the bar who is a semi-regular, but not like super regular early in the morning. And Anya, who's the bard that plays there every day, lives there, works there, notices it. So she goes up to the bar and kind of confronts her. They start talking. And then she sends us on a quest to find
Chwingas.
Chwingas. Because apparently they bring world peace or something, is where we ended as a party on the knowledge of a Chwinga.
Okay. Well,
Don't know how that's where we got.
I think
I
that,
just wanted a magic hammer, and she told me I couldn't have one, so then I was kind of grumpy
yeah.
because I wasn't getting a magic hammer.
Don't be like him. Actually,
I
pay
want a
attention to your
magic hammer.
DM. You're not
I was
getting
paying attention. I just wanted a magic hammer. They were getting world peace, and I can't have a magic hammer.
it. World peace was never mentioned by me.
That's what they thought. That they would have sold their souls on the fact that they were getting world peace by finding these Chwingas.
This podcast is firsthand.
DM abuse.
I was gonna say it's the difference between what a player gets out of session versus what a DM's trying to portray. Maybe I'm not doing a good enough job.
You're also playing with a party who every one of us are more than happy to take anything we're given and just run with it however we see and hear it.
What do the Chwingas do?
Bring world peace.
They do not.
Okay, they're like
What's
a
the
foot
NPC's name?
tall.
What's the NPC's name?
I have no idea. Karen, Kalarla, Carla, I don't know. No idea. Maybe starts with a K, maybe doesn't. I don't know. She was dressed nice. She wouldn't tell us who we worked for. We
She.
wanted to know who she worked for, but she wouldn't tell us. She wanted the Chewingas. You put them in a jar, shake them up, something happens. I don't know. Lightning bug, maybe, kind of. That's what I got out of it.
None of this was ever
That
mentioned.
was absolutely mentioned.
We're not putting them in
Someone
jars.
said something about putting it. Yes, she said we were supposed to bring them to her in a jar.
No, I'm pretty sure someone asked if they'd fit in a jar, and she said no. But
No, and then they said, how are we supposed to transport them if we can't put them in a jar? And you're just like,
yeah, that's for y'all to figure
so
out.
you put them in a jar like a lightning bug and shake it up. That's probably what's going to happen if we find a Chewinga. And it probably won't even be me that does it. But anyway, see, you know I'm not wrong. But
we can start the
anyways,
betting pool in the comments for who's gonna kill the Chwinga on accident from shaking the jar too hard.
Chewingas, jars, shaking, whatever. Nicely dressed lady won't tell us who she worked for. We want to know. I wanted a hammer, not getting a hammer. And this is for us to find the Chewingas. We're talking payment. Dexius wants answers because she had also questioned his little tattoo.
She didn't question it. She was a little bit.
Disconcerted about it.
Yeah, that's disconcerted is a good way to put it.
And so he asked questions, she asked questions, he asked questions, she asked questions. No one really knows anything. But she's going to do research while we're gone and try and find answers to give him. I, again, for the third time, am not getting my magic hammer. But I am getting gold. I settled on gold. And then Anya and Pim were dead set in their hearts on world peace. That ended up not being a thing that could be guaranteed. So then Anya came up with the idea to ask for a favor that she couldn't say no to that was within her power. And us thinking alike, above table, we're like, we're going to ask her who her boss is because that's within her power to say. So we just got her. But first, we've got to find like a cricket that wears a mask and a hula skirt that we got to put in a jar and shake up. So no idea when that's going to happen. But that's when we figure all that out. Probably in even more of a clustery manner than I just described it for her. But then we end up leaving the bar. Well, we talk for a minute, kind of figuring out how we want to traverse Icewind Dale. And so we had start, like she said earlier, in Bryn Shander. And so we're going to kind of make a little circle around. So we're going down to Goodmead first. So then we start traveling to Goodmead. Obviously, there's an encounter, but we leveled up. We're level 2 now. I'm not squishy. I ain't scared of nothing. So we find a pack of gnolls.
And Hodor dies again. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't think I lost a hit point.
You did. You were down 6.
6 hit points. I'll take it. But so pack of like 4 gnolls jumps us, slice through them like butter. I don't think any of us really took a whole lot of damage.
No, I'm looking. So Dexius actually gained 12 hit points from false life. So he came out on top for like however long that lasts. I don't remember off the top of my head.
I think it lasted an hour,
Yeah, the most damage I took was Pim took -8.
which a couple little whacks, and then Anya was kind of away from it, spelling and stuff. Because we don't have any weapons for her, and she wouldn't let me metagame her a weapon, so now we've got to find her a rapier or a scimitar, which we haven't yet, because all they had was little shoddy crossbows. But anyways,
A longbow.
a longbow. We beat the brakes off of all these gnolls, and then obviously we're like, loot them. And she does some devious shit.
It's not devious. It's accurate.
Devious.
Okay, what did I do?
She finds some little scale thing.
A loot table.
Has
Every
everyone
DM
start
has one.
rolling some dice. And like me, wasn't too bad. Don't even remember what I got, but it wasn't that bad.
I'm pretty sure you got a necklace of severed fingers.
Oh yeah, I got the necklace of the fingers. Dexius got somehow like just a singular finger.
Anya.
Anya, if I remember right, something to the extent of a rotting.
She got a rancid set of leather armor.
Yeah, like.
And she had to roll a constitution save in order to not puke, which she failed.
She's puking.
Wait, was that Anya or Pim?
I think Pim got the armor. Anya got something else, but they both had to make con saves to not throw up, and they both failed their con saves.
Okay, so Dexius got the dismembered finger adorned with a platinum signet ring worth 2 silver pieces.
It was the only thing worth anything that anyone got was the ring off the finger.
Okay, I believe Anya got strips of rawhide from various creatures, probably humanoid.
Yeah. That were also rancid.
Pim got rancid smelling hide armor, DC 10 con to avoid vomiting.
And they both throwed up.
Yeah, because Pim was helping, or Anya was helping Pim, one or the other. Anyways.
They were in it together. They threw up together.
It's gnolls. You don't expect them. But then I felt bad because I'm a good, kind-hearted, loving DM that wants nothing more than my players to have the best time.
Eyes.
And they all got, well, I was rolling a 1d4 for the amount of gold they would find on each gnoll. So I rolled 4 for Hodor, 4 for Dexius, 4 for Pim. And I was like, I'm just going to give Anya 4 because I'm going to feel so bad if it's like 1. And then everyone's like, no, go ahead and roll. We just want to see what it is. It's a 4. So everyone got 4 gold. So I think it's worth throwing up. That's kind of a lot of gold.
I didn't have to throw up. I don't care about a necklace of severed fingers. So it was fine by me. But then, like we said, session had to end a little bit early there. So that's where we had called it there. With them cleaning up their
y'all had made it to
we finished
Goodmead.
Finished our travels, made it to Goodmead, and then called it there.
Next mission we'll pick up in enter Goodmead. It's a really neat town.
We're gonna have a super mega session to make up for the light session, so have everything prepared. We're going like 8 hours.
No.
Yes. You can DM. Can you roll a nap? I will.
Well, that was the recap of our first 2 sessions for Icewind Dale. We're not quite into the meat and potatoes yet. We're still forming the party, but we're getting into it. They've got their first main quest, which is to find the Chwingas, and we'll see what Goodmead has in store for them. And we are hunting for peace.
And we didn't really get into it this time. I like to close every episode reminding everyone we are a mental health focused podcast. That's what we're doing this for, is to really kind of start to show the benefit that tabletop role playing games can have in benefiting your mental health. But if you are ever in an emergency, please do not hesitate to dial 988. If at any point in time any of you guys need anything, if you need help finding therapists or any other type of mental health in your area, please feel free to reach out at any time. We will do whatever we can to point you in the right direction and get whatever information we can for you. But more importantly, you are not alone. You are loved and you matter. And just remember,
Until next time, keep fighting the darkness in real life and in the game.
thank you guys.